Hello, everyone. So, welcome to today's session. This is the second session for the legal updates, especially for 2023's CLAT that is going to happen in December 2022. I hope you have all received the notification by now, the new update that we have with regard to the ALIT exam, because it is going to also happen in December itself. There is a new notification that has been out very recently. So please go and check it out. The forms are going to uh, uh, be there on their website by the first week of September itself. Uh, so we need to buckle up, right? Because two major examination with regard to legal entrance exam, both of them happening in December. So we don't have a lot of time. It's already September. It has already hit September, and we hardly have like 3 months, right, for the preparation. So we need to buckle up. I hope you have got serious by now for your preparation. I hope you have already figured out the strategy that you have to follow. I hope you have figured out what all are your weaknesses and your strengths by now, and you're working on it. uh, so let's start with our usual discussion on the legal updates. These topics have become very important, especially after the CLAT pattern has changed, right? Because this year in 2022, if you would see the kind of questions, the kind of passages that were covered, they were mostly from the uh, current legal developments that were going on, right? So let's start with today's discussion. We have quite a good news today, set of news actually, I would say. First and foremost is related to the Shiv Sena controversy. There was a huge storyline that the newspapers got quite a time back, when in Shiv Sena people were changing their parties, right? Now, that entire story is not very important from the exams perspective, though it is related to the politics. But we really don't need to get into the politics, right? We need to get into the polity of every politics. So here, it's not important who all left the party, who all joined the party, where did it go, why did this happen, who got gussa, who was manawing the other person. All of this is not important for us. What is important is what is the legal issue that is involved here. What is it that is getting violated, with regard to the constitution, is what becomes important in our for our examination. So here, the most important topic, the most important area that you have to notice is with regard to the Schedule 10 of Constitution. Okay, because this matter was taken up by the court, by the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court referred to a very important judgment, that is KIHOTO judgment, KIHOTO HOLLOHON versus Zakilu. Now, that is a very important judgment with regard to the Schedule 10. And I hope you all know what is Schedule 10 by now, because all these schedules of constitution becomes very important, not just for this exam, but for your entire legal profession, right? You need to know that. What does it talk about? It basically talks about the disqualification, anti-defection laws. Okay, that becomes very important. So, in this judgment, what why this judgment becomes very important for us. But before going into that, let's look into some constitutional provisions that is there with regard to the disqualification. First and foremost is Article 93. Second comes up Article 178, and then Article 95. 93 basically talks about, only mentions that yes, there is an authority speaker and deputy speaker. But 95 is an extension to it, which says that deputy speaker can exercise all those duties that a speaker performs, right, in his absence. When that seat is vacant, in that case, deputy speaker will come up, and he will be the one who will be performing all the duties of a speaker. So 95 is an extension of 93. Now, next one is Article 178, that basically talks about the kind of position that a speaker and a deputy speaker holds in a legislative assembly of a state, right? So that also becomes an important area, because these articles can be targeted in your examination, because it all pertains to the constitution, and anything and everything that is going around us that has any background in the constitution becomes important for us, right? Now, we need to know what was it that was questioned in this judgment. We are basically focusing on KIHOTO HOLLOHON judgment. So what was it that was uh, questioned here? The very important thing, uh, question of law basically here was the constitutional validity of the 10th schedule. So the party basically questioned the entire constitutional validity, means that they were questioning that these provisions should not at all be there, right? Or they are constitutionally invalid, we have to scrape it out. So that was the contention. But later on, judgment was given wherein the court very clearly said that it is, you know, speaker, until unless a speaker or a chairman of the house does not uh, announce anything, does not decide anything, does not give any decision, until then there can be no judicial review, right? The court basically focused on the role, the position, the importance of that position, the importance of that office, of speaker's office, of chairman's office, right? So that's what the court mainly focused on in this judgment. And the court also said that a speaker or a chairman is actually a guardian, is a guardian of all the rights and privileges that all these members of house they all get, right? So that was a very beautiful judgment. So uh, one of the very important legal updates. Now, when we're talking about the disqualification, we need to know that when does it take place, right? Now, there are two major grounds on the basis of which this disqualification takes place. First and foremost is if a person is voluntarily changing the party or he is voluntarily giving up the membership. Second is when he is not voting according to the party, yeah, or he is abstaining from voting when a party is asking him to, right? When a party is requiring him to vote. So these are the two major grounds on the basis of which disqualification takes place. Disqualification of any member of the house takes place. But there are two exceptions to it. Why exceptions? In order to make it fair for those people also, right? The people who are there inside the house, all those members of the house, they also need to have certain leeway to escape, right? Certain protection. Exception basically give them kind of protection, right? So they need to be, law need not be absolute all the time, correct? In order to protect them, there are two exceptions to it. For exceptions to it. First one is about the merger of the party. If there are two parties who are merging together, in that case, of course, one person will have to, give up the membership of the previous party, or they'll have to ensure that they are not voting or abstaining from voting according to their older party, right? Because a merger has happened. Or second one is if any member is appointed as a presiding officer. In that case, also he cannot follow what the party is saying, right? Because he has been appointed as a presiding officer now. So these are the two exceptions. If any member is able to take or prove that these were the reason, any of these were the reason why such act happened from his side or her side, in that case, still disqualification may be stopped, right? Now, the next very important legal update that we have got very recently is with regard to Drug, Medical Devices and Cosmetic Bill 2022. Now, it is amending, it is actually upgrading. I won't say amending, but I would say upgrading a very, very old law on drugs and medicines that was constituted in 1940. Just imagine what kind of development we have done already with regard to the medical science, medicines, cosmetics, all these areas since 1940, right? So of course it was a need of time. It needed to be upgraded, right? Now, what all things have we do we see that this act brings as a kind, as in a form of development, right? So first and foremost is that they are the act is actually seeking to regulate e-pharmacies also, right? They are recognizing e-pharmacies as well, because nowadays there are a lot of online websites, online organization, online portals wherein you can order medicines, you can go and consult doctors, and all of that is happening. So that also, those pharmacies also needs to be taken into scrutiny by law. That is the very that is a very progressive development that we can see, because everything around us is around tech, right? Everything revolves around tech now, and that is why law also needs to recognize it and make regulations according to it, right? Second one is that this new bill, it is also considering, it is very considerate of those people who take part in clinical trials. Now, what are clinical trials? So suppose there's a doctor who is working on a medicine, right? Medicine to cure some disease, say cancer. Now, those medicine has to be tried on some people in order to see the efficacy, in order to check the efficiency, right? Now, those people, they may get certain side effects, they may get such medicine can be harmful for those people also. So such people also need protection, right? Legal backing they would need from some area. Now, that is what this law is providing. First and foremost is it is suggesting certain punishment and certain compensation for the same. Along with that, they're also saying that just in case if there's a person who dies or who gets injured during these clinical trial or during these research studies, in such case a compensation can be given to that particular person or to his or her legal heirs, right? So that is also a very progressive development that we can see through this bill that is coming up. Along with that, there is a new board that is going to be established, Medical Devices Technical Advisory Board, wherein all those technical experts who they would be appointed, and they we actually have a board right now, so it is just going to be similar to that board. It's just that there would be certain changes in the qualification and all. Currently we have drug technical advisory board. Now we'll be having, it is going to be upgraded as Medical Devices Technical Advisory Board, right? Now, next up is very interesting one, that is with regard to raw. Who doesn't like raw, right? We all I mean, I don't think there is anyone who would not like raw, or who would not love the idea of raw, but only from a distance, right? All right. So there is a current development that has happened there, that the tenure of raw has increased, right? It is extended by 1 year. And who is the raw chief right now? It is Samant Kumar Goel, and he's the third raw chief whose tenure extended after 3 years, whose tenure is more than 10 years. Sorry, 3 years, not 10 years, 3 years. Now, who were those two people before our Mr. Goel, who served for more than 3 years? So first person was our Aaron Cow, a very interesting person. You can go read about him, though not very important from exams perspective in legal reasoning, but you may get asked in GK with regard to this. So Aaron Cow, he served for 9 years. He was the one who founded uh, Raw. He was the one who established Raw, right? Second one is Mr. NF Suptanuk. He served for 6 years. So 3 years, 6 years, and 9 years. Right? Who extend these tenure? It is the appointment committee of cabinet who extend these tenure, because Raw is taken very seriously by the ministry, right? It is directly controlled, or not controlled as such, but it directly comes under the government, right? Now, what does raw do? I don't think we need to I mean, I need to tell you about that. It's very interesting, right? They take care of all the counter-terrorism activities. They take care of proliferation. They take care of all the strategies that India has to build around its interest, and how center should go ahead with that strategy. All of that planning, everything is done by the raw. Uh, Very interesting. Next up is important one, that is National Anti-Doping Bill. It becomes important because recently, if you would see, there are few sport person in our country. Uh, in last few months, there have been certain disqualification on the ground of doping test, right? So becomes very important, and that is why, and especially important because there is this new bill that has come up with regard to this. Which bill coming of, I mean, introduction of bill means what? That there is some major changes that are going to be happened, right? Now, maybe in exam you are not going to be asked directly about the bill, but about the laws that goes around it. Or you can be, or the passage can talk about these laws that we have, or these provisions that we have, right? So there is this new bill, National Anti-Doping Bill. Last year itself, it was grounded. Now, what all are the important provisions with regard to this bill? First and foremost, very important is that it prohibits doping for three category of people. First one is athlete. Of course, they have to be, they have to refrain from doping. Second is even their support staff, right? And third one is anyone in that arena, anyone around them in the sports arena. They also have to prohibit themselves from doping. Now, what are going to be consequences of these? If a person fails the doping test, they'll be disqualified. If they have been given any medal, that will be taken back. Just imagine how insulting that would be, right? uh, uh, points can be deducted. Yeah, any reward that has been given, that would be taken back. They may also be announced to be ineligible for any further tournament or any further sports, any further event. Yeah, so all of this can take place. For this, there is this new development wherein the bill also talks about the establishment of National Board of Anti-Doping in Sports. Though we already have some authorities for the same, on the same lines, but still we are going to get a new board on this. The main function of this board is going to be to suggest government about all the anti-doping laws that we have. What are the international agreements that we have? What are the international standards that we follow? All of that would be followed, right? And they will also be taking care of the fact whether these laws, anti-doping laws, whether they are being followed in our country or not. And the law has also, I mean, the bill has also stated that there is only one laboratory, that is National Dope Testing Laboratory, that is going to be treated as a prime testing laboratory. No other laboratory will be considered as primary now, after this, once this bill is passed. Yes. Now, what all are the duties of National Anti-Doping Agency? Very important. First is to research, then to initiate some anti-doping activities, right? Maybe to plan it and then to execute it, then investigate into matters if there is any violation that has taken place. Also to implement all those anti-doping rules that we have at international level, that is WADA code, right? World Anti-Doping Agency's code. So that is actually set up by the International Olympic Committee, and that is what this agency will be taking care of, as to whether those code of conduct, all those regulations that have been laid out, whether they are getting followed in our country or not. So basically, these anti-doping laws, we are actually extracting it from international laws, right? So it becomes very important because there are very these areas are very important for us, and sports is an area wherein it becomes a niche area, correct? And that is why there are very less number of laws that we have in these areas. And when there is certain kind of code, certain agency, certain organization, all of these, when they are being extracted from international laws, it shows that government is paying certain attention to it. And when government is paying certain attention to it, it means that examiner can also pay certain attention to it and can be asked in the examination, right? And CLAT is known to target some niche areas as well, some unfamiliar, interesting areas. So these are the areas that can be targeted, and they are all very interesting to read also. So you can read more about it if you want to, but do not waste your time in getting very much deep into it, right? Next up is very important again, because environment has become, environment, climate change, conservation, all of this has become a very hot topic since last year itself. In fact, I would say since the COVID hit, we have all got very aware of what is happening in the environment, and everyone is becoming environment friendly, and they are all getting aware of the environmental things. With regard to this, there is this new rule, set of rules that has been notified by Ministry of Power, green open access rule. As the word suggests, it means that green energy should be accessible by everyone, means it should be open to access. And in order to make it accessible to everyone, what do we need to ensure? We need to ensure that it has to be affordable, because if it is expensive, only Ambani can afford it, right? It should be made reliable so that people can trust on it, and it should be also sustainable green energy for all. Why? Because we are running after SDG, sustainable development goals, right? So India is running after that. India is contesting for that. So all of these has to be ensured. And with regard to this, there are other current affair news that you can refer to as well, like Panchamrit, COP26, NDCs. You can go read about it also, because they're all kind of on the same lines. Now, what are the salient features of these rules? The interesting one is that these set of rules are going to allow small consumers to buy green energy. Beautiful, right? Means we are going to sell green energy to small consumers. So far we were selling green energies, but to big hits, right? That is big organization, big companies, maybe PSCOs, all of them. But now we are going to sell it to small consumers, and it is going to be approved within 15 days. If it has to be approved, it will be approved within 15 days, and the entire approval process has to be transparent. Now, if there is some green energy that is left, even after the sale and distribution and everything, if there is any energy, green energy that is left, means the surplus, that would be commercialized by distribution of the license. Means we'll be giving license to people, not people, but organization, right, to companies. We'll be giving license to them so that they can commercialize it, they can get the profit out of it. And all those who would be using green power, they will be given green certificates, right? So that's like an initiative to encourage people, to make it easier for people. First and foremost is that they're encouraging people to use green energy, and second one is they're actually making it affordable also on the other side, so that they should not just get motivated, but they can also take action for it, right? So for environment related current affairs, legal update, this becomes very important. Now, the last one for us today is the Surrogacy Act. We have, if you are following the newspaper, you would know that we have been getting news on surrogacy since the beginning of this year. Continuously, there have been some or other development, some or other news or debate that is going on surrogacy. So there was this act that was that we got last year in 2021, Surrogacy Act 2021. Now, why did we get that? Now, why are we reading about it? Because there is this petition. There was this petition in Delhi High Court that was filed a few months back against the commercialization of surrogacy. Means they against the decriminalization of commercial surrogacy, wherein it was actually contended, it was actually said to the court that, listen, so we need to decriminalize it. We should not make commercial surrogacy criminal anymore, right? Because this act considers commercial surrogacy as a criminal activity. So basically, we have two kinds of surrogacy. First is altruistic surrogacy, wherein there is no monetary compensation that takes place in family. Suppose there's a person, there's a couple who wants a child. In that case, they can get anyone in the family to as a surrogate for their child. So that is not for any monetary compensation. But there is another kind of surrogacy, that is commercial surrogacy, that is done for monetary benefit. Means wherein there is a person who is only and only becoming a surrogate to receive money, to get some money. Now that commercial surrogacy has been banned by this act, by the law. And not only banned, but also it has been made a criminal activity. Means if anyone is found to be involved in this commercial surrogacy, that person can be imprisoned for 10 years plus 10 years of fine can be imposed, right? So that is what this law says. But there are certain leeway to it, because of course, as I said, there cannot be, laws cannot be made absolute in nature, right? There has to be certain consideration of those people who doesn't fall into a certain category. So there is certain exception to it also. Like for example, if there's a woman, or there's a divorcee who is aged 35 to 40 years, or if there is a legally married couple, if in such case there is any medical condition that is involved, in such in those cases, surrogacy can be availed by them, right? So that would be legal, that would not be criminalized. In that case, it won't amount to criminalization, even though they buy a surrogate, not buy rent a surrogate, I would say. Even when they go for a commercial surrogacy, that is not going to be a criminal act, right? So that was it for today's session, guys. Thank you so much, and I will come up with more legal updates that I feel are important for your exams perspective, because I know it gives my children chills, right, when they think about all those legal updates and all those legal developments that are going on. There's so much going around, ma'am, what to study, what to read, what is important from our exams perspective. So that is what I'm going to cover in my sessions. I'll be coming up with these sessions more in the future. So please subscribe to this channel, and if you want, you can press the notification bell also, so that whenever I come up with the session, you get notified about the same and you can quickly cover those topics, right? So that is it for today's session, guys. Thank you so much, and have a great day.